All right. Sounds like you guys are ready. So before we kick things off, I would love to introduce why we're all here because there are some new faces in the room. So this webinar is hosted by the Pet Industry Network, and we are this collaborative group of trusted and experienced experts that help pet businesses like yours grow smarter across every area of business, from your operations to your hiring to your branding and your marketing and beyond. And whether you're a brand or a retailer or a service provider or manufacturer, our goal today and every day, honestly, is just to connect you with people and strategies that actually move the needle in your business. So if you're not already familiar with the Pet Industry Network, we would love for you to check us out. We're going to drop a link inside the chat, petindustry.network.com, where you can learn more about us. But we're so happy to see so many familiar faces as well as to meet some new ones today. It is my pleasure to introduce today's expert and speaker, Stephen Gary. So Stephen, we've had the pleasure of working with Stephen for a long time now. He brings deep expertise in helping pet brands navigate and scale on Amazon. He's actually been doing this for over 10 years in the pet industry, and he's worked with some of the most recognizable names in the industry to drive profitability, efficiency, and sustainable growth on the platform, especially when things get tough at a time like this during the summer, right? So, Stephen, thank you so much for being here. We just can't wait to dig in. Anything else that you want to add that I missed, about all the amazing work that you do?
No, actually, maybe the best introduction I've ever gotten in my life. So I appreciate you for having me on and for giving us this platform. It's something that's been a challenge for brands over the years and over the decades, and the summer slowdown is real. It's not just your brand, it's not just your products. So I hope that we can provide some actionable steps today to help you take advantage of this time that might not be your highest converting rating period, but give you an opportunity to dial in where you can, but also set yourself up for success when customers come back shopping.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Stephen. I'm going to turn things over to my co-founder, Matt, and please introduce yourself as well.
Definitely. Well, Stephen, that is actually a great introduction to today's agenda. So that is what we're going to be going over. I'll go over that in a minute. Myself, I am Matt Aldrich, co-founder of Pet Industry Network. I also run a marketing agency for pet businesses. I defer to Stephen for all things related to Amazon and pretty much e-commerce. So Stephen has been one of the best people that I've met in the pet industry, and it's definitely an honor to share the stage with him today. I'm excited to learn myself from what he's got, what he's been doing with brands on Amazon for the last 10 years or so. So today, what we're going to be going over is how to set expectations within your business and how to prepare to react to how things change. So whether that is in summer as we move into Q3, but primarily with an eye on Q4 and making sure that you can finish up the year strong. We're going to be transitioning into talking about how to build up your own marketing assets within your business that then fill up your funnel. And then finally, how you kind of complete that funnel, right? Optimizing your conversion pathways for customers and users and prevent people from dropping off as they go through that purchasing journey. So it should be a really far-reaching conversation here. Before we really dig into it, I do want to poll our audience a little bit just to get an idea of how things are going, where things stand for you guys. So I do have a couple of questions for you. If you would please enter into the chat on a scale of 1 to 5 right now, how confident do you feel in your current Amazon strategy? A 1 would be like a what strategy? And a 5 would be like, we're dialed in, we're scaling, things are great. Okay, so we got some 1s, we got some 3s, not seeing any 5s. Come on, guys, I know that there's more than 1, 2, 3, 4. I know there's more than 5 of us in here. 0, guess 1. Okay, great. So lots of room to grow, right? Lots of people that are ready to learn about how to make Amazon work for them, which is fantastic. I think we're in a really good spot. Next question that I have for you guys. In a few words, please type in the chat. So it's a little bit more open-ended. What has been your biggest challenge with Amazon or e-commerce this summer? So go ahead and use that chat function, maybe take 10, 15 seconds to think about it, but what has been your biggest challenge with Amazon or e-commerce this summer? Getting started on the platform, getting orders. So it sounds like maybe you've got people starting that funnel, but not really finishing it. Affiliate marketing on Amazon. Tariffs and importing, definitely. Fees, right on. So lots of challenges and lots of things have changed just in the last 6-7 months, as I'm sure everybody knows. All right, loving all of the input in the chat. E-commerce with eTailPet, but e-commerce sales in general, fantastic. Okay, third question here. How prepared do you feel for Q4 right now? Because we are already looking at Q4 for all of our clients these days. Number one, not at all prepared. Number two, somewhat prepared. And number three, very prepared. So again, a few more ones here. How many of you guys are feeling prepared for Q4? Okay, well, Stephen, I think we've got a handful of people that are either not prepared for Q4 or they are not confident in their marketing strategy on Amazon or e-commerce, and that they are all experiencing a wide variety of challenges that I think that we can probably cover in today's discussion. So I'm excited to get things going. It is a pleasure to have everybody here as well. And before we get started, I just want to say kudos to you guys for spending some time out of your day to learn and improve and get better at these things that can really help your business. There's such an appetite for learning here in the pet industry, and it's just really great to see and be a part of. So let's get going.
Yeah, and before we kick off today's discussion, if any questions come up as we go along, please feel free to drop it inside the chat because we will leave time at the end to answer those questions. So it will especially help us if you put a Q in front of it. That way we can find it easily. And we encourage you to engage in the discussion in the chat as well. Whenever something that is shared resonates with you or something you want more clarification around, please let us know in the chat. We will be looking at it throughout because this conversation is for you guys. We really want to help you move that needle forward towards a really successful and prosperous Q4. All right, so let's get into it. We have a bunch of topics that we want to get through today with Stephen. So Stephen, are you ready to be on the hot seat?
I like to think I'm always ready, but it's always a new experience. So bring it on.
All right, I'm going to bring it. Okay, so first things first, right? The summer slowdown is real for most brands. And I'm sure a lot of people in this room would like to know, what can we do to set ourselves up for success now and throughout the rest of the year?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Matt's agenda kind of set the table really well for this. The first thing you need to do is have the right expectations. So we've talked about this a couple of times, but the summer slowdown is real. Consumer conversions are just down in the summer. Customers or your potential customers, they're traveling, they are out of school and spending time with their kids, they're outside doing things that are fun and that they can do while the weather is really nice. And what that means is they're not sitting in front of their computers buying things. There's also a little bit of expectation during this part of the year that promotions and discounts are going to be a little bit lean. So, everyone's ready to jump online and buy on Black Friday, to buy during Cyber Week, to buy during Christmas and Q4, and there's a lot of promotions and discounts driving a lot of that traffic and conversion as well. So just know that this is a period where customers aren't really primed to shop. You're still going to get some consistent customers. If you're selling consumables, they still need, shampoo and conditioner. They still need treats and food. But you're probably going to see fewer new customers because they're going to fall into those routines when they're busy with other things that don't involve sitting in front of their computer and deal hunting on their favorite e-commerce platform. So I would say, to Matt's point, number one, we've got to set the right expectations. And so that leads us kind of into our action items that we can do to take advantage of this time. And I think part of it is, how can we still get sales and drive traffic to our listings? And part of it is, how can we be prepared for the future? So the first step in, I think, preparing for the future, we love to have our brands work over the summer on developing new assets. And there's two really key ways that they can do that. Strong marketing assets means stronger marketing. So The first thing we can do, if we have the funds, schedule something like a photo shoot or a video shoot in order to get new photography and new videography. Imagery and video gets stale really quickly, and the images that were up to stuff 2 years ago are not anymore. It happens really quickly, and with the advancement in photography and the advancement in AI, we're just seeing those assets churn really quickly, and we're seeing what's best practice for you to use change really quickly as well. So it really helps to spend this time, connect with your photographer, connect with your videographer. There's a great pen partner, Work for Treats, that can help you do that. They have their own animal talent, their own studio, and their own lifestyle locations that they can use to shoot great photo and videography. And those assets we're going to use now to develop great ad style content, to create new ads, create new creative for image galleries. And we can use those now to improve conversion rate, traffic, but also to kind of set ourselves up for a big Q4 when we have all this new content working for us. But it doesn't just have to be brand content either. So, I said reach out to your photographer, your videographer. One thing that we're seeing huge benefits from is working with content creators. So this is a great time to dive into your social media, dive into your email list, dive into your orders list, people who have made multiple orders of your products. Reach out to them and say, hey, we see that you love our product. We'd love to do a collaboration with you. We want to send you some free product. Can you take pictures of your pets enjoying the products that we make, and take pictures, take videos, post it on your social media? It could be to drive traffic, but really we want to get the rights to use those images and videos so that we can get ready to make video ads out of those, to add them to our brand content, to add them to our Amazon store, and really optimize the creative that's on our product pages. So I know that was a really big step one, but I think that's the first big area that we can use during the summertime.
Let's break it down a little bit when it comes
Yeah.
to photo and video, right? Like absolutely, having those visuals helps, but what role do you think that it plays in the conversion, especially on Amazon?
hmm Yeah, so there's two really big ways that we use photography and videography on Amazon. The first one is on our on-page assets. So that's our, image galleries, our A+ content, our brand story. Most of this comes from the branded assets that you create. So you pay a videographer, you pay a photographer, and generate really nice high quality imagery that's in the aspect ratios and that covers the details that you want, the key benefits that you want to cover for your product. This is something that you can really control. So you know exactly what the final product should look like, and you have an idea of how you're going to use that to market your product better on the product page once someone's already there. But there's a whole nother aspect of getting traffic to your product page. And yes, having your own images is really great, but there's a whole segment of potential customers that resonate more when they hear from another customer how great your product is. And so that's where kind of that creator content comes in, provides some social proof that your product might be the right product for them. And then it's easier to convince them to come to the product page where you have all these beautiful brand assets that help convert them there.
Awesome. And as you've explained, this is something that is in the brand's control, right? When it comes to your creative and diversifying, what I'm hearing from you is diversifying that between professional or DIY, but it's not that hard to take really good photo and video these days with existing technology, but also having that customer created content, all of it plays a role towards pushing towards that conversion, creating that social proof. Just to recap everything that you said. And please, anyone who has questions about this in the chat, it can be, working with content creators historically has had can have a bad rep, right? That doesn't mean that you shouldn't try. We have Christine in the chat who mentioned that she's working with local therapy dog influencers, and it has helped her business get more exposure. So it is possible as a small business to get that kind of content to support your marketing. So thank you so much for that, Stephen. Anything else on
Yeah.
this subject that you want to add?
Yeah, well, shameless plug. If you're having trouble getting your influencer marketing to work for you, we are doing a panel at Super Zoo on how to make the most of your influencer marketing. So I'm taking a full hour to talk about that at Super Zoo. So make sure you come there. And it can be a really powerful tool when done right, and it can be a really disappointing experience when not done right and not done with the right expectations. So I definitely understand how the experiences diverge so much.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit to talk about some trends that we see happening in the summer. You mentioned earlier about the slowdown. And, I'm curious, what have you seen? What kind of mistakes have you seen brands do or things that they should avoid doing when they see that summer slowdown? Like what can they be doing to scale forward towards Q4?
Yeah, yeah. Well, the next step number two, I think, and the thing that they should absolutely be doing is priming their pump and getting ready to really take advantage of prime shopping. So, two ways that they can do that: if they have new product or if they're investigating new product, launch it now. Try and get the first round of understanding your product, the first round of getting your reviews, the first round of customer feedback and marketing assets generated for those products now, so that we have a dialed in version when customers start coming back to really make their purchasing decisions later in the year, September and October. So if you've got new products that are in the pipeline, get them launched now. Get them launched a month ago if possible. Especially on Amazon, it takes time to get new things going. One of the biggest factors for conversion rate that we see is the number of reviews and the aggregate rating. And so new products suffer from a massive disadvantage of not having any ratings. There's some great programs on Amazon. There's the Vine program, which allows you to get your first 30 reviews pretty quickly. So if you're launching a new product, definitely look into Vine. It's not for every product because it requires you to give it away for free. But if you can find it in your margins to use Vine, get those first 30 reviews. It will absolutely help you get set up for, better conversion rates moving forward. But even with Vine, you still need some time to establish a sales history. So you need that sales history to generate organic rank, to generate ad rank, so that your cost per clicks when customers are coming to do their shopping aren't insane. The first month or two when you start marketing a new product, it's going to cost a good amount of money for every click just to convince Amazon to allow you to present your product to customers. So you're going to pay a good bit for every one of those initial clicks. But as you start establishing more of a record of sales and have more ratings and reviews, those cost per clicks come down, and you can start really marketing those products aggressively in Q4 as more and more customers are coming around. And then, just to kind of part two of priming that pump, launch the products, but also go higher up in your ad funnel. So start building more of brand awareness, start building more customers who understand and who are considering purchasing your products, so that when they are at a purchasing decision later on in the year, they are already aware of your brand, and the likelihood that they're going to convert on a multi-touch marketing plan is much higher. So these are audiences like lifestyle audiences, in-market audiences, and test and discovery audiences in Amazon. And if you don't know what those are, happy to elaborate a little bit more. But basically, they are Amazon's way of doing demographic and interest-based targeting. So it's not based on your keyword. So they don't know who you are or what you do yet. And it gives you a great opportunity to say, hey, you look like my ideal customer. I'm just going to make a introduction here. And usually those top of funnel introductions are pretty inexpensive. So you can make an investment in the summer that'll pay off in Q3 and Q4.
Especially when you have a little bit of less competition, perhaps for those eyeballs, because as we get
Absolutely.
closer into Q4, getting seen That's the wrong time to start to try to get seen, right?
Absolutely. It's the most
Yeah,
competitive and the most expensive. So
absolutely.
you have the
So
conversion
you,
rate, but you have expensive cost per clicks.
there you go. So let's talk a little bit more about those metrics, right? Monitoring those KPIs. We just ran through quickly a bunch of them, but how can brands, come up with a strategy to read them, monitor them, and then react quickly to the trends that they see?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think not to say it depends, but it always depends, right? It depends on your product and your goals. I would say normally in the summer, we need to know that conversion rates are going to be a little bit down. And so because conversion rate is such a huge part of your total sales, your organic ranking, your return on ad spend, expect that those metrics are going to be a little bit down in the summer. And instead, what I would really focus on is priming that pump for you to do really well later in the year. And those are metrics like total sessions, total detail page views, total impressions share, top of search impression share, cost per click. Those are the things that we want to really take advantage of here in the summer. Cost per clicks are going to be lower because there's less competition, as you mentioned, and because conversion rates are lower. So other brands are going to be saying, "Hey, my return on ad spend isn't there in the summer," and they're pulling back from their advertising. It's a great opportunity for you to take advantage of a less expensive introduction. So if we're seeing cost per clicks go down, then we know, hey, this might be a time for us to take advantage and make more introductions. And so outlining some of these higher funnel campaigns that have a low cost per click, we want to start monitoring those for our awareness type metrics, the ones I just mentioned before, like top of search impression share, total detail page views, sessions. If you have a brand registered brand on Amazon, you can look at things like branded searches. So the number of customers who are aware of your brand and actually searching for it on Amazon, you can monitor that to see if you're growing your brand presence on Amazon. And all of those will be really good indicators of, you know, where you're headed at later in the year as shopping starts really picking up again.
So you mentioned these campaigns. Besides running them on the Amazon platform or on Vine, I want to get a little bit into talking about, more about filling that funnel, right, and building that
Mm-hmm.
awareness. So, where would you be focusing your attention as a brand in filling that funnel through those
Mm.
campaigns
Like across channels, you mean?
across channels, or what has been working for your customers at this time of year?
Yeah. So on Amazon, so native platforms, we're really or native ads, we're really looking at sponsored brands placements because those are great ways to make really good introductions. It's a big there's two placements. There's the big headline search placements. You can make a whole banner that says, "This is my brand and what we're all about, and check out 2 or 3 sample hero products here." Those are a really great place to make that introduction. It's really impactful, and customers who see an image or a video are much more likely to recall that brand than just seeing it in a search result. The other placement is sponsor brand video. So later on in the search results page, we're seeing you can create a big full width brand video. Again, that plays into if you watch a video or see a branded image, it will help you recall. We love placing those things in the search results right now when we're not focused on trying to convert, but just seeding customers for us to go get later. There's also a lot of great cheap on-page placements in sponsored products and sponsored display, but you can also market off of Amazon. So if you've made that really great introduction via sponsor brands or maybe an on-page placement on Amazon, you can follow that customer around the web using Amazon's remarketing tools and sponsored display. Absolutely think this is a great time to do that because the cost per clicks are cheap and you can stay top of mind when they need your product next. They'll have a really strong awareness of your brand, what you're all about, and the product that can solve their need. outside of Amazon, because we do like to, we like to focus on Amazon. It's what we do, but we understand that brands have off Amazon presences and they want to drive traffic all across all of their sales channels. We certainly recommend using this time to go find customers during their education phase. So usually you might be focused on Google Ads and running, search ads when customers know what they're looking for and appearing in those search results pages. And that's a great way to optimize for return on ad spend and for conversion, and a great way to kind of get the most bang for your ad dollars. But when customers aren't converting, those placements aren't doing a ton for you. So this is a really good time to run those higher brand awareness campaigns. Maybe it's the time to work on Meta ads, to work on TikTok ads, to work with your content creators to develop things that are native to platforms that customers aren't necessarily shopping on. They're learning and they're discovering and they're using for enjoyment because they're not, this is not the prime shopping period.
So considering that this is not the prime shopping period, what kind of content for that type of education matters most that you've seen really push the needle the most for those products, especially since it's not, a holiday shopping period. So I think everyone in the room would be curious about like what kinds of content or education have you been seeing going out at this time of year?
Yeah, we like to focus on benefits and differentiators. So and it's hard. I've had this struggle with brands consistently. Brands think of benefits as features, right? So, like if we're talking about a dog car seat, they say it's this tall and it's made with this fabric and it's, made with this material that's going to last however long. And those features don't necessarily resonate with customers. What you need to explain is the benefit of those things, right? So it's this tall to a manufacturer means like that's how we make it. But what it means to a customer is my dog doesn't get car sick when he's in the car. It's made out of this material to a manufacturer means that's the material we bought. But to a customer, that means it's fully machine washable and removable, and you can replace it with any other of our covers that you want, right? So yeah, exactly. Features are technical, benefits are emotional. It's how you fix the problem for the customer. So, number one, the video content that we think resonates the most is solving a problem for your customer, and especially if you can do that via social proof. So if you can have someone else tell the story of how your product made their life easier, made life better for their pet, that's always really great content and something that we want to be working on developing throughout the year, but especially now when we have a little bit more budget and a little bit more focus on developing assets. Differentiators, another thing too, like how is my company different? One of the really great differentiator stories is to talk about founder stories. Why did we make this brand? Why did we start this company? What need are we solving, and how does that relate to me personally? Those are really strong content initiatives as well. So we love if there is a founder-led brand for the founder to get out there and really talk about the story that motivated them, how this resonates with them. It's really strong, really high-value content if we can get that together. But if those aren't the two things, also how do we install it? How do we wash it? How do we any of those technical indicators are also really great content that's going to be evergreen, and we're going to use it over and over and over again. And this is a great time to kind of get it developed.
Absolutely. And of course, the more often that they see that kind of messaging, the more it becomes ingrained in terms of, the number of exposure, that by the time Q4 comes, the holiday shopping season comes, they know so much already about your brand. Why would they even consider something else, at this point?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we spent a good bit of time talking about like getting ready for upcoming. And I do want to say it's all is not lost in the summer. There's certainly some important steps that we can take now to make sure that we convert more and we sell more now. So our third step that we're advising brands and we're seeing the successful brands take on during the summer is an audit of their product pages. And obviously we're a huge part of that when it's on Amazon, but it's also important to carry these principles throughout your entire web presence. We know omni-channel marketing was a huge buzzword at all the trade shows recently, but customers are going to experience your brand across multiple platforms in most cases. So take these principles and apply them all the way across. But on Amazon, we're looking for a review of these key areas: keywords. So what keywords are working in advertising, and are they incorporated in your product pages? What keywords are you ranking for, and are we consistently communicating them and adding them to the product pages? What are our highest converting terms? So we want to look at not just the volume of sales that we generate, but also the ones that are the highest likelihood of success when customers come to us using those terms. And we also want to, make sure that we're optimizing for the algorithm, whether it be Google's algorithm or Amazon's algorithm, to make sure that those keywords are maximizing our search rank ability. The next place that we're doing a big review, especially on Amazon, is the above the fold content. So that includes bullet points and titles. So do these bullet points answer customer questions? And a great way to find that out is to just go to your product reviews. Go to your product reviews and see, out of your 1-star and 2-star reviews, what did customers dislike? Because they're going to tell you 9 out of 10 times why the product wasn't the right thing for them. Maybe it was it didn't fit in their car, or maybe it was too tough for their dog to eat, or maybe their dog didn't like it. Maybe they didn't like that it was individually packaged. Let's figure out all of those potential stopping points and use the above the fold content to either explain why this is a benefit, or just make it very transparent so that customers that don't resonate with these negative things about your products just don't purchase in the first place, because we'd rather them not purchase than have a negative experience. So incorporate all of that feedback that you're getting from your customers in that above the fold content. That's going to help you convert better, and it's going to help you avoid customer complaints and headache in the future. And then also image galleries. That's kind of the last big audit point. So image galleries are huge. People don't like to read, to be very frank. The words that you put on the page are going to make far less of an impact than the images that they can look at or the videos that they can watch. If we've spent a whole bunch of time getting new videos from our photo shoot, or new photography and new ad style graphics, maybe it's an infographic, maybe it's an informational video on how to install or how to use the product. Is all of that stuff incorporated in the product page now? You spent the time and the effort to make sure that it was developed. Make sure that it's on all of the the places where customers are going to look for it, because they're not going to go into their email to see the one time you sent them an instructional video on how to use your product. So make sure that you have all of that stuff that you've spent the money and you've invested time and effort into being displayed to customers where they're actually going to look for it. And those big audits, they're going to give us a really good chance to improve our conversion rate now. They're going to improve total sales, improve ranking over time, but they're going to get us more sales because we've optimized for the current traffic. And then because we've optimized for the current traffic, that's going to give us better ranking and lower cost per clicks in Q3 and Q4 as well.
And prevent any drop-offs along the way, right? Because if you don't have a review of your entire funnel and your process, you might not be aware of where leads could be leaking, right? Or potentially return customers. I can't tell you how many times, a lot of us in here in the room are Amazon shoppers. And if you don't have, as you mentioned, those image galleries, those tutorials, those videos, education, everything, all in place, they're going to look for somebody who does, right?
Absolutely.
So there's a huge comparison game happening right now, and you are actually in control over what you put out there.
Yeah, unanswered questions are a huge hurdle to conversions. So your product might solve all of the problems that this customer has, but they still don't buy because they have unanswered questions. And there are great ways to figure out those questions that they didn't get answered. They show up in their negative product reviews, they show up in their returns and their return reasons, they show up in customer service conversations that you have. So take all of that information about your customer and their actual experiences that they are having and incorporate it out onto your product pages to make sure that new customers don't run into those same issues.
Absolutely. And it's even, I've observed an opportunity to get back returning customers, right? Because if you are consistent across the board in the resources and the content that you put out there about the products, they're going to have a reason to keep coming back. Versus if your product is a one-hit wonder and then they come to see they liked it, but then they see the rest of the stuff is not up to snuff on your web presence, then that creates some doubts or questions about like what kind of brand are you, right? So having that consistent brand image across all your channels, including Amazon, is important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, awesome.
So
Before
another
I move
way we
on,
can kind of
go for it.
yeah. Another way to kind of optimize for now and down the road that we love to implement now in the summer where we have some time and some resources to do so is all of our implement and test optimizations. There's three key places to do this on Amazon. So number one, and probably the biggest one, is the A/B testing. So for brand registered brands, you can do A/B testing on your product pages. You can test things like titles, bullet points, images in your image gallery. You can even A/B test A+ content and brand story. So these are all the things that we just talked about auditing, finding your gaps and implementing fixes for. Well, you can take it a step further, move to what you think is the best case scenario, make that your A, and then iterate off of it. Do a B where it says, well, I think that focusing on this key benefit is probably our best bet, but what if it's this? And let Amazon tell you, based on real customer traffic, which thing is resonating more with customers. So this is a really strong, low risk, no cost way to iterate and improve your product pages as you're going. Also, when it comes to implementing and testing, set up rank tracking. So if you can, find out which keywords your products are ranking for and monitor it over time. Changes that you make to the product detail pages, changes that you make in advertising, and changes over time with conversions from other customers will all affect your organic ranking over time. And so being able to track that and go back and say, oh, we updated our image galleries on this date and we started seeing our our search rank really improve after that. Now you've got a really strong indicator for what's working and where you might want to invest more effort. Maybe it's in advertising and setting up specific keywords to make sure you're ranking better on these specific keywords. You'll be able to track it back to a certain time. We love using Jungle Scout, but Helium-10 and Carbon-6 both have rank tracking ability. So you can plug in your product, find out right away which keywords your products are search or ranking for, and then you can just follow that historically over time and see where your changes are actually making an impact. And then the last kind of implement and test strategy here is advertising. There are a ton of different ways to get your products in front of your customers. Most brands really focus on the bottom of the funnel. And understandably, this is where you're going to see the highest return on ad spend. It's where customers have already exhibited that they're looking for a product that your brand solves. But it can really be a great opportunity here in the summer to take advantage of those low CPC audiences and start building something higher up and finding out which ones work. You might have a theory that says, well, I think my product resonates with, college educated people who make $100,000 a year and live in the city. But then if you test and you find out that that test audience is not performing very well, you might have a new updated understanding of your demographic and you have a chance to kind of go out and test the opposite of that or refine it. And if you're able to refine who your customer really is over time, you'll be able to much more effectively market to them, both in getting their traffic through advertising, but also in altering your product pages to resonate more with who your ideal customer really is. When we're doing that kind of testing, we're looking for, you mentioned some KPIs earlier. The KPIs we're looking for those test audiences, we're looking for high click-through rates. So even if they're not buying the product, because now isn't really their buying time. We want to know that they're interested. So we're kind of doing some research into who is actually interested in our brand and our product. We can monitor their detail page views. So how long did they stay on the page? And we can monitor, if we're serving a video to them, how long they watched the video. All of that will help us understand, are they actually resonating with our brand or not? Or is this maybe an audience that we should kind of pitch to the wayside and find out a new audience to pursue more heavily during the high sales volume period?
And if you're taking these measures, you're going to get closer or faster towards getting those customers to buy now rather than the wait and see game, right? If you are diversifying your strategy, you're looking at your KPIs, you're following what is working, you're acting, on it rather than just waiting around. You're going to see customers buy sooner than later, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is another one of those, hey, we love what it can do for our long game, but it can still pay immediate dividends if we're doing it right, if we're optimizing it consistently, if we're paying attention to it, it can pay dividends pretty quickly. So it's not necessarily a 6-month strategy, even though we might see more dividends down the road. It's something that can help right now when, customers and orders are getting a little thin.
Absolutely. So last point that we wanted to talk about, we touched on it a little bit earlier in terms of launching products, right? A lot of people may
Mhm.
have this misconception or wrong impression that, oh, it's for the holiday season when we should be talking about new products. But by then, it's already too late. Can you expand on that a bit? And what are some other practices that you see brands doing right now to gear up towards holiday sales in Q4?
Yeah, I definitely think if you're launching product in Q4, it's too late. And we can dig into a little bit more of the details on that, but you don't have ratings and reviews, you don't have a sales history, you don't have any information about what customers like and don't like. We talked about during our product page audit, using the information that you have, the product reviews, the returns, those things can help us educate how we should be describing the product and what benefits it solves for our customers and what's important to them. So if we wait until Q4, we're just taking a shot in the dark of what customers are looking for, what they're going to like, what's going to resonate with them, and then they're going to land on a page where there's no social proof, and maybe we don't have all the marketing assets figured out. It's definitely best to launch it, give it some runway to iron out, and then have your finished and final product ready to go going into Q4 rather than basically beta testing your new product in prime shopping season.
Awesome. Before I go into questions that came through in the chat, any other points that we didn't hit on that you like, any message you want to convey to everybody in the room that they must walk away with?
Yeah, absolutely. If you are brand registered on Amazon, another really great tool to use now so that you understand what's happening on your product pages and you can leverage that to your benefit later is the customer journey analytics tool on Amazon. So it's under brand analytics. It'll show you all the ways that customers landed on your product pages. So did they come from search results? Did they come from your storefront? Did they come from offsite traffic? And then it'll tell you from the detail pages, what did they do? Did they add to cart? Did they leave your product page? And then from add to cart, it'll tell you, did they purchase? Did they repeat purchase? Did they abandon their cart? All that information can be really helpful so that we can plug the funnel for moving forward, and really most importantly for Q3 and Q4 when customers are coming back in. If we've got a leaky funnel, we're going to have lower return on ad spend. We're going to have lower conversion rates. All of that's going to affect the cost that it takes for us to do business, and it's going to affect our organic ranking. So use that report to your advantage. Make sure you've plugged up the funnel, that you have a really nice, clean transition from each one of those steps to make sure that customers are going all the way from awareness down to repeat purchase, and that there's no hurdles stopping them from getting there, and that you've provided the proper promotions or remarketing or whatever it might be to help incentivize them to go all the way through the funnel.
Perfect. And Carrie is in the chat asking where that tool is located.
Yeah, so in Seller Central, under the main menu on brands, there's a brand analytics tab. And then actually customer journey analytics is the first tab that's going to show up. But If it doesn't for you, for some reason, there are a number of tabs there: customer journey analytics, customer loyalty analytics, search analytics, and consumer behavior analytics, all of which are really great. But we just talked about that customer journey one. So you can access that on the top tab.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's run through some questions that we got through in the chat in the remaining minutes that we have together. Thank you so much for like the really high level explanation and detail orientation around everything Amazon for pet brands and products. We have a question from Dodie. What is the name of the app for the keywords that your products are ranking for that you mentioned earlier?
So the cheapest one is going to be Jungle Scout because it is really just a keyword research tool. It's kind of why we love it, because we have different pieces parsed out. But Jungle Scout is going to be the inexpensive one. It's also great. You can plug it straight into your Seller Central and get a lot more information than just the organic rank tracking. But they do have that built in, and it's a pretty great tool to track over time as well. So I would suggest Jungle Scout, but you can also look at Helium 10 and Carbon 6 for options there.
Fantastic. We did have a question earlier in the discussion from Melanie, who was asking for clarification on whether Amazon is for items you make and sell. She said her vendors won't let her on Amazon due to MAP policies. They want to target indies. So I think I know the answer, but in terms of yes, it's for items you make and sell. Are there any other ways, because there is a variety of people in the room, are there any other ways that you see pet businesses using Amazon besides being a manufacturer?
Okay. Yeah. So two-part question there. Anyone can sell on Amazon. So reselling a product that you've bought from a manufacturer and then selling it on Amazon is an option. I wouldn't suggest it. So 5 years ago, that was really, really popular. Maybe, even the preferred way to sell on Amazon, because Amazon really was rewarding sellers that had large catalogs. So if you could offer lots and lots and lots of brands and lots of products, Amazon loved it because they were trying to grow their platform and offer all of the products that anyone could possibly need. Well, they've already got the reputation now, and they are kind of turning coat on those resellers, and they're really dedicating most of their effort now on brands and manufacturers. So they want the person who makes it or the person who owns the brand to be the seller of the product now on Amazon. And resellers are facing lots of new challenges that they weren't even just 4 or 5 years ago. So if you aren't already a reseller selling products on Amazon, I would not suggest going into that game. It is a very difficult uphill battle at this point. But there are still lots of ways that you can use, if you're a store, you can use your traffic and your influence, your relationships with your customers to leverage Amazon and, make sales there. I would suggest looking into the Amazon influencer program. What you can do is you can set up a storefront. You can send links to products that you love, that you use all the time, to your customers. You could do this in eBlast, or if you had a customer specifically ask about a product that they love and how can they get it on reorder, or how can they get it online because you don't carry it in the store anymore. You can set up your own storefront on Amazon, send them a link to that product. The brand or the manufacturer will fulfill the product, but you will get a commission of that sale. So it's an affiliate relationship. If you have access to a bunch of pets and products that you're using, let's say you're a groomer and you're like, I love this pet shampoo. This is the best pet shampoo. I've used it, 8 hours a day for the last 5 years, and it's amazing. With your Amazon storefront, you could post a video, tag the brand. If the brand puts it on their product page, you'll get a commission every time someone watches that video and purchases that product. So even though you're not making the sale directly, there's a really good revenue stream there still for service providers. And then just because we love her and we know her, I have to plug Michelle. So one of our really good friends, Michelle, runs a company called ShotDop. And although it's not Amazon focused, it also allows service providers to provide an e-commerce like experience for customers in their stores. And it's built on a dropship model. So your customers would come into your store, they can make a purchase of any brand that is on the shop.app, and then they'll fulfill the order and you get paid a commission of that. And that happens off of Amazon. So it's direct with the brand. I know that there is a little bit of a, unappreciation for all of Amazon's fees and costs. So if you want to do that outside of Amazon, ShopDot is a great alternative to that.
Fantastic. And I think that hopefully helped answer Christine's earlier question. She has a follow-up question from Christine about if she doesn't want to stock or sell a specific brand because of a distributor with an exclusive relationship, could she just do affiliate sales on Amazon instead?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's no restrictions on your Amazon storefront of what content you can post. You don't have to be sponsored at all. It can just be the product. I think you've got, I don't know if it's a virtual background or not, but you've got a couch behind you. You're like, I love this couch and I bought this couch on Amazon. It can be any product that you bought. You can make a video, post it in your storefront. If it gets posted on the product page, then you'll get a commission anytime someone watches the video and makes a purchase.
Awesome. Fantastic. All right.
I'll do another shameless plug while we're talking about affiliate
Please.
marketing. If you are a pet owner or you are a service provider that makes content regularly, I would also check out the Animal List. Our friend Colleen runs the Animal List. You can use the Animal List to get connected with brands that need content. So we talked a whole bunch about content creation and using creators to help us build our marketing assets. You can be part of those, that creator network that brands like the brands that we work with go and use to build new marketing assets. So just build a little profile, set up your, your cost to do work with a brand, and then brands will post casting calls that you can respond to, or you can actively pursue brands as well there. So the Animal List is great. There's also a dedicated rev share affiliate program called Wayward. They're always looking for new content creators. They are very thin in the pet space. So if you make content for pets, I would absolutely suggest going to Wayward and checking out them, and you can make commissions off of the content you're already making.
Sounds like there's lots of ways for all types of pet businesses to benefit from e-commerce in different variety of kinds of relationships with these e-commerce platforms. Whether you are a manufacturer, a brand, a service provider, a retailer, there is something out there to create that either main or additional revenue stream. And it sounds like, there's different ways to try to find what works best for you. So thank you so much for really going into all of that detail. We have gotten some really fantastic questions from you guys. So I want to make sure that we plug you back, Stephen. We would love to invite, if you are struggling to turn around your summer sales, you can actually apply for an evaluation with Stephen and the rest of the team at Acceleration to audit your Amazon advertising campaigns, right? So if you are already existing on Amazon as a brand, and explore how you can optimize your Amazon presence, fix those funnel leaks that we covered today, and really gear up for a strong finish to 2025. So you can go ahead, scan that QR code. It will go straight to the application. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, I love it. We love having these types of conversations. So thanks for having us on. And if people have questions, feel free to either email me directly at steven@acceleration.com. That's ACCELERAZON.com. I'm sure it'll be in the chat or in the show notes. So feel free to email us. You can find me on LinkedIn. Those are great ways to get in touch. And, we love having conversations. So feel free to reach out.
Absolutely. So either grab that QR code or we dropped it in the chat, your email address, steven@acceleration.com. And we really just want to thank you for spending this time with us. There's a lot of opportunity for education and for awareness around especially something as mystifying as Amazon, right? And how to win big on Amazon. So Stephen, before we wrap up, I just really grateful for your time that you shared with us today.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. And for those of you guys who are interested in finding more education with the Pet Industry Network, please go to petindustry.network.com/waitlist. We are not here to just help you go from your slow summer slump to just broke a sales record by the end of this year. But we, as I mentioned at the earlier when we started today's discussion, we cover topics on hiring, on marketing, on branding, anything under the sun for specifically your pet business, right? We are the Pet Industry Network, and we're very committed and dedicated to helping you grow your business. So please, if you haven't already, sign up for this waitlist so that you can be notified of our next webinar. We are aiming to do this at least once a month. And it's free education, guys. Thank you, everyone who took the time to spend with us to not only educate yourself, but also to work on your business and not just work, in your business, right? Too often we find ourselves in the daily run through of having to, fulfill customer orders or to work on, try to get some posts up onto social media. We don't really get enough time to sit down and really truly think about the strategy and fill in those gaps of education and learning that we might not have, right? In order to succeed. So big kudos to you guys for being here. You rock. Thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar. Thanks again, Stephen and the team at Acceleration. And we look forward to seeing you the next time, guys. So thank you so much.